We've made it. The NBA Finals are here and every play matters. And right now, Fanatics Sportsbook is the only place you need to be. No matter how you bet the finals, you're earning FANCASH, up to 10% back on every bet, win or lose. And you can spend it on gear, collectibles, and experiences only Fanatics can give you. You already know Fair Play Injury Protection has your back if a player goes down in the first half. And with the profit boost available for every game this series, every bet hits harder. This is the finals. Switch to Fanatics Sportsbook and get more ways to win when it matters most. Winning hits different here. All right, and now we very much have a series. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show, presented by Fanatics Sportsbook, where for the first time in 46 days, we have to deal with the unfortunate reality of a Knicks loss. And look, there's no way that, I wish I had the power to say something to make pain go away for those listening. I wish I had something to make the pain go away for myself. I don't. I wish I had that power. I do not, unfortunately. This one hurts. And look, I will start by saying the thing that you need to say in this scenario. And it's not because, and I'm not saying it through, gritted teeth. I'm not saying words that I don't believe, because they are factually true. You're still up 2-1 in the NBA Finals. You have home court advantage. You earned home court advantage and retaining home court advantage, even with a loss at home, by the fact that you took not one, but 2 games in your opponent's court to start the series. So that is good. It means you will have 2 more chances at home to win the NBA Finals. And on top of that, needless to say, you have proven that you could win away from home in San Antonio. So all that is good. What makes tonight frustrating, and, I got Benjy here, and I'm going to bring him up in short order. What makes tonight frustrating is it feels like for pretty much, not all of 48 minutes, for everything other than the second quarter, for the first quarter, the third quarter, and the fourth quarter, it feels like for those 3 quarters, we did not get New York's best. And the thing that has defined the run of 13 straight playoff wins, which is now over, is it's not that they have played their best basketball for all 48 minutes in every one of those 13 wins. All you have to do to remind yourself of that is look at game 1 against the Cavs in the last series, where they played anything but their best basketball for 3 quarters, much like tonight. The difference then is 2 things. 1, they saved their best for the fourth quarter when they were unbelievable. And 2, they were playing the Cleveland Cavaliers. That Cleveland Cavalier team is not the San Antonio Spurs team. And tonight's going to be all about the Knicks. It should be all about the Knicks. It's the Knicks Film School Postgame Show. We analyze what the Knicks did or did not do. What you got tonight from the San Antonio Spurs 2 best players in Victor Wembanyama and Stephen Castle was like just absolutely... I mean, it was as good a performance as you will ever find in NBA history from 2 guys who are 22 years old and 21 years old, respectively. You're really just not going to find, right down to the Castle free throws to essentially seal it. The Castle 3, that was the real dagger. That like because once that went down, at that point, it was going to take like something a little crazy for the Knicks to win it. And even the Spur in the starting lineup, who I would say had the weakest game, De'Aaron Fox, made the biggest shot of the night when he made the dagger. So you got just absolutely massive, big time performances. You got a decent enough shooting game from San Antonio, 35% from deep, and you got some big time performances from the Knicks. OG Anunoby had talk about as good a finals game as you'll ever see. I mean, 28 points on 13 shots, some outstanding defense, a couple of blocks. I'll be interested to talk about Karl-Anthony Towns' game with Benjy, because you look at the score sheet and it's like, okay, it's 11 points on 10 shots. That's not something you're going to write home about. I thought Cat was brilliant in the first half. I thought he was the next best player in the first half. It was a quiet second half. I'm interested to discuss how much of that you give credit to San Antonio and how much of that, was there more that Cat could have done. He got a 4 3-point make game from Josh Hart. That part of it hurts. And the fact that Jalen Brunson, 32 points, okay, on 25 shots, not so okay. 5 assists, 5 turnovers. And boy, did those 5 turnovers, every one of them hurt. It was not the game that I personally, and I think a lot of people are going to join me, expected from the captain tonight. On several fronts. And that part's frustrating. But I think the part, and this goes beyond any X's and O's, and this goes beyond really anything that, you black and white, whatever. It's like, it was one thing to have the atmosphere be what the atmosphere was for the start of the game, which was, talked about it earlier today with Jeff and Sean, an atmosphere that we figured would rival anything that any New York sports venue, forget MSG, that any New York sports venue has seen this century, certainly. And you could probably even go further back than that. Not only did you squander that out of the gate by falling down and kicking the ball all over the court, really from the opening, like 2 consecutive unforced turns. In that sense, I didn't even realize that until I just flipped back to my notes. So you squander all that energy. Spurs go up 7-0. It takes so much air out of the balloon. They're up 16-6 within however many minutes. 7 straight makes. Give them credit for that also. Again, they made the shots. 7 straight makes. It's credit to them. But you're down 10 midway through the first quarter before some fans have even sat down. And that first quarter started with 2 straight, completely unforced turnovers. And then you battle back with maybe the best quarter that you've played all season. As good a quarter as you could possibly play. 7-point lead at home with a chance to go up 3-0 in the finals. If you land it doesn't even have to be a knockout punch. If you land a big punch there out of the gate, I'm not saying it's game, but man, are you putting that team up against the wall? And you come out and you start the third quarter the exact same goddamn way you started the first quarter, with two turnovers on the first 2 possessions. And look, they only had, I think they ended up with 14 turnovers for the game. 13, excuse me. 13 turnovers, 21 points off of those 13 turnovers for the Spurs. It's not that 13 is in some unimaginable number. It's fine. It's not good. It's not bad. It's fine. But the nature of them and how many unforced errors and when they came, and it felt to me like that was endemic of just, you had 2 teams come into this game. One team had their back up against the wall, down 2-0 in facing a must-win scenario. Another team was walking into an environment that you could tell, I think, from the opening tip, they knew was going to be the most juiced environment of their lives. And I think they played like it was the most juiced environment of their lives. And then it's not a compliment. One team just responded better than the other tonight. To me, if I'm going to summarize the game in one sentence, That's it. And that's probably the most obvious trite thing to say. Well, yeah, of course, the team that won responded better. I don't know. It was very blatant to me. It was very obvious to me that the Spurs just and again, that is with all due credit to the Knicks in the second quarter when, my Lord, what a quarter for them. But that was it. They never really, I thought, put it together in the second half at any point in time. I mean, they were outscored, by 8 in the third quarter, and it felt more significant than that. And yeah, like they never really gave themselves a chance down the stretch. Brunson did a couple shots, credit to him, but so look, again, this hurts. This hurts a lot. Come out, game 4, win the game, and then you give yourself 3 chances to win one more game and win an NBA title. And that's all it comes down to. They've said all along, ahead of every new game, it's 0-0. Treat this game like it's with the appropriate level of urgency. Come out, play a little bit better, go up 3-1, put yourself in position to take the finals. I want to dig into this one, though, so let's get Benjy up here. Hi, Benjy.
Hello, John.
How you doing?
A little dejected. Not a feeling we felt in a very long time. So yeah, it hurts. To your point, it hurts. That's a tough loss in a really ferocious game. A lot of emotion. First finals game in the Garden in quite a long time. You wanted to put your stamp on it, make it memorable. It was memorable, but it doesn't finish the way you want. So yeah, trying to keep the perspective and understand that you don't win every game against this kind of competition. It's ridiculous to imagine that you would, but that's not to say there isn't what to improve on, what to learn from going into game 4.
So let's go right there. Obviously, the disappointment is the overarching story. And the other thing I should say, last thing before we get to some more specifics of the actual game, like, just Knicks fans, everybody out there watching, prepare yourselves. And when I say prepare yourselves, my advice to you would be prepare yourselves by not consuming. Every conversation over the next 2 days is going to be about how the Spurs are like they have the series back right in their grasp. And it's going to be incumbent upon the Knicks. I don't think they do, but it's going to be incumbent upon the Knicks to not listen to any of that. I would recommend the same for our listeners. What is your I'll just start with this. What's your biggest takeaway from the game?
Sloppiness, lack of discipline, surprising in a way from the team that has more experience. And I want to credit the Spurs. I thought their poise from their very young players was frankly exemplary.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in comparison to the Knicks' best players, it was just superior. I think, you hit the nail on the head. You come out of that second quarter with a 7-point lead. You would have signed up with about 5 minutes left to be down 5 or 6. They go up 7.
Yeah.
To come out in the third quarter and not protect your dribble on the first possession is inexcusable from the captain and the Eastern Conference MVP and all that. You just can't have that. And it allowed the Spurs back into the game very quickly. So it was the turnovers and then it was the fouls. It was just an undisciplined defensive performance by the Knicks. And the fact that Mikal Bridges got 2 early ones, I thought really threw off the whole rotation.
Yeah.
They need him. He was, I think, a +6 or 7 in this game. Even though he didn't do a ton, he's just a very important presence out there for the Knicks, the way he moves, the way he attacks closeouts, the way obviously he can defend. And I just thought from the tip, maybe it was the atmosphere and the juice and whatever, too much fouling and too many turnovers. Even though it was only 13, it was sloppy. It was just too sloppy in a finals game that you could have really, essentially won the finals if you pulled this one out.
And that's the tough part is like, what's unfortunate is like they made some big time shots throughout the game. Like you look even at the end, like the OG3, the JB3, but like the shot making in the second quarter and some of the buckets that they got was just like, it was off the charts. So you brought that part of it, right? You brought that part, and to not bring the easy part, and to not bring the easy part, and like I completely agree with you about the fouling. Completely agree with you about the fouling. What did you see anything that the Spurs did differently, or did you see anything that the Spurs did against the Knicks offense? Let's start there. Spurs defense, Knicks offense.
I think, I think they did the thing that we all expected them to do. Wemby saw a lot less of Cat and a lot more of Josh Hart. And the Spurs paid the price for it because Josh Hart did the thing that he does at least once a series, which is make all the threes. And it hurts to lose the game where he does that, especially in combination with the shot making of OG Anunoby, which if you go back and watch those field goals, the degree of difficulty on some of these shots were outrageous, and he made all of them. So that's where it really hurts, because you got some shot making from your wings. But yeah, you saw Wemby on Hart, was owning up behind, less of the kind of guarding Cat, then peeling back into the paint coverage, more of I'm just going to guard Hart and stay here coverage. And I think that had some positive impact, but I thought, look, the Knicks had their best scoring quarter of the series in the second quarter. And I thought their offensive execution was pretty good other than the turnovers, including in the fourth quarter when I thought they missed a few really good looks from three. Yeah. And look, some of that also is Landry Shamet can't shoot 80% from three for the rest of his career. Like, this was coming. He was going to miss. He was going to have a game like this.
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of accept that. I thought the one thing I would say about Cat, because I think the fact that Wemby played the way he did took him out of he barely got any low post touches. They did that high-low game they've been playing was kind of taken away because Wemby was playing so far off. They even tried to get a high-low. Hart tried to throw the quick pass in I think it was the end of the first quarter or in the second quarter, where he's getting that ball when Wemby guards him and just trying to throw it right over the top right away. Wemby was just sitting way off of him. So that was the extreme coverage they went to, which was like play way off Hart, disallowed Towns touches. So I thought that is why Towns was so uninvolved. But when you get an opportunity to shoot a three-pointer, Karl Anthony Towns, you gotta shoot the ball. You just have to shoot the ball against this defense. You're not going to find something better. And he passed up, I would say, 3 of them, where the pump fake is not necessarily better, Karl. Even though you can get a guy up in the air, just shoot it. Shoot it.
Yeah, not against this defense. You can't, because you're the pump, like you're just driving into more bad.
That's exactly right.
And Brunson, like, look, I don't want to beat up Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson has, as has been said many times over the last several days, Jalen Brunson has changed all of our lives. It is as true today as it was yesterday, as it was the day before that, as it was the day before that. It's funny, he actually made 3 of 5 from deep tonight, but it was just an uncharacteristic game from him. It would be the way that I would phrase it.
It was frantic.
And
I think he's bordered on frantic throughout the series. And you can't talk about Jalen Brunson without talking about what the Spurs are doing defensively to him. This is, and I know he dealt with it in Indiana to some extent. I think this is even harsher ball pressure. When he gets past that half court line, how many possessions is he riding the half court line, just trying not to get a backcourt violation as they press up on him? Yep. It is difficult to handle and to deal with. Recognize that and understand that's part of the reason it's happening. But you know what? The expectations are what they are because you have set them there. And this is the NBA Finals. And if they're going to win, he needs to find a little bit more poise, a little bit less dribbling. He needs to find Cat to initiate a little more get action type plays where he doesn't have to dribble 15 times just to get a look. It's all that stuff because it was nice to see the shot making came back a little bit tonight, and he made some tough ones and made some threes. Those off the catch ones over Wemby were huge in the first half. You love to see that. But it's just a little frantic right now dealing with that pressure and then trying to out physical that pressure instead of just like giving it up and go and playing off the ball. I would think the Knicks are going to try to build some stuff in that allows him to do that a bit more and less ball handling responsibility.
Yeah, it was just a lot of, I mean, there were a half a dozen times where Andrew during the watch along was like, it's a lot of dribbling. It's a lot of dribbling.
Clock. It's 24 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, and Mike Brown, I'm seeing here after the game is a quote from him. Offensively, we were about as stagnant as I've seen us all year, which helped with the 13 turnovers.
No doubt. I mean, I think the assist numbers will tell the story there too, right?
Oh, yeah. So Knicks assist tonight, 18 on 40 made field goals. The Spurs, meanwhile, 28 on 39 made field goals. That's as much of the story of the game as anything, because the Spurs, they never relented. They continued moving the ball around. Yeah. Real quick, last thing, and then I gotta hop off for a minute. So Andrew will continue with you, and then I'll be back pretty soon, actually. Give me your one thought on the Knicks defense other than fouling.
I thought
the only thought you had.
No. I thought in the first half, especially, they lost their discipline in terms of being in gap help and clogging driving lanes, even at the expense of conceding some kickouts. All of a sudden, Castle was at the rim with little help. All of a sudden, Wemby was catching a bunch of lobs.
Yep.
He had more dunks in this game than he had by far in the first two. Yep. And they cleaned that up in the second half, I thought. So credit to them, but there was definitely a lack of attention to detail on the defensive end, especially early, and I think it might have been because the Spurs made some threes early that the Knicks reacted to that, but they were pushed up way too high on the floor, allowing driving gaps to the Spurs, physical drivers. And that is one of the reasons they got into foul trouble, especially. And then I thought just conceded a bit too much at the rim early on. So I would say that was it. I thought in the second half, all that was much better, though. So, again, credit to the Spurs. They made shots. They made shots in the second half. I mean, Wemby got a 4-point play taken away from him. That was a crazy shot.
Yeah.
So
and they got fortunate there, but unfortunately couldn't capitalize on it.
Yeah.
All right. I will see you guys in about 10 minutes.
All right. Have fun.
We'll do.
Andrew.
Benji, I was in and out because I'm like recording the audio so I can get it up on the podcast feed ASAP. So I might have missed it. Has the officiating been mentioned yet?
No.
Not why they lost. I want to be very clear. Not why they lost. But Mike Brown just said it. Like, if they officiate like this, it's going to be really hard for them to win game 4. I repeat, not why they lost. Second half free throw attempts. Spurs 24, Knicks 8. Like, tell me I'm crazy. Tell me I'm a conspiracy theorist. But I'm setting the tone for where everybody's going in the super chats.
Yeah. No, it's totally fair.
Brunson is being guarded very aggressively. I agree with you about Indiana. It's like everybody on the team is Dyson Daniels, but they also have Dyson Daniels' whistle. I'm sorry that like the blatant miss on the Brunson.
That was crazy.
The punch in the back.
Insane.
Like I have no other way to say it other than like a cross check by Wemby that's blatantly missed, and then it's just going viral right now. I'm sorry if you did that on the street, you get arrested. Like at a certain point, is this whistle going to be even, or do you just want a long series, Adam Silver?
That was objectively insane, and he did it in game 1 to Jose Alvarado as well. That went missed and uncalled, and I honestly think they should look at not suspending. No, they should not, but they should look at fining him at the very least.
Yes, for
2 straight games of like a really violent kind of weird act against small dudes. What am I going to say about the whistle? It's just hard. It's hard.
Not why they lost.
But you're right to point it out. It's part of it is part of the game, and they certainly didn't get the benefit of the whistle. I do like. I think when you have Wemby on defense, it makes it. You can be super aggressive, and then when that moment comes where it's like one extra little hold or one extra little bump, they kind of just let him go because there's Wemby with his arms up, and Wemby's not going to foul very much, although he did have 3 tonight. If I watched it all back, I think that the free throw disparity should be what it was? I'm sure I would not think that. I also think that the Knicks fouled a lot tonight. And I thought more obviously in some ways than the Spurs. Like the Spurs are setting a physical baseline that if the refs chose to call it fouls, they'd all be fouls. But they're setting that baseline where it is. And I thought the Knicks, just because of like these extra kind of grabs or undisciplined closeouts or jumps, the Brunson one underneath Champagne's, just bad work. I thought Brunson's closeouts on Champagne generally weren't very good tonight. So I think it was not a equal whistle. It was not a fair whistle. It's certainly fair to point to the whistle and say that's one of the reasons they lost this game. I'm not going to argue the point. But what I will say is I think the Spurs did a better job of, once that baseline was established, of playing within it than the Knicks did. And again, you can argue about the baseline. I think it's fair. And I think what they're doing to Brunson is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But if that's what it is, then the Knicks need to play through it. And they have. They did in game 2.
So to that point, the baseline, I think, is being established on one side of the ball. And that's where I think the Spurs are being allowed to play a much more physical style of defense. That maybe I'm wrong, and your film analysis and your eye will catch that the Knicks aren't as aggressive. But because I agree, a lot of the fouls were silly. The Brunson foul on Champagne at the beginning of the third quarter just was very frustrating. I thought it was an aggressive closeout. The Mikal 2 early fouls, as they were happening, I didn't think that was a bad whistle. I thought they were 2 fouls.
Mm-hmm.
Brunson is getting seeing bodies up the court in his ball pressure.
I think the difference is I think the Knicks committed a lot of fouls at the rim tonight. And I think what we're asking for, I can think of one Brunson reach that they called in the second quarter. That was a bit of a tough call, on the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think a lot of the Knicks fouls are happening on the perimeter. I think they're happening at the rim, and I think they're happening at on rebounds.
Yeah.
And I feel like the baseline's being set on what you can do on the perimeter defensively. I feel like the Knicks are allowed to do the same. Hart is very physical with Castle. OG is very physical with Fox. And I don't think the Knicks are getting those calls, but I thought they got hurt at the rim tonight because they allowed some of that penetration, especially early, and then we're fouling in there. But I hear you. Again, I'm not arguing. I'm playing devil's advocate.
To be clear, I don't think it's why they lost the game.
I know you don't.
I think, look, from a big picture thing for me, I do tip my cap to this very young team that came into this environment. Never thought they would be absolutely that shook by the Garden and the guests in attendance, we'll say, and the extra attention on this game, especially after getting through OKC. It's not just the punch that it's not just the moment that they met at the beginning of the game. It's the punch they took in the second quarter that they then got up off the mat and responded to in the second half, that I commend OKC. I'm also staring if I have any hope for game 4. And I have a ton of hope for game 4, to be clear. I think the Knicks are going to win the series personally. But I'm staring at a lot of shots that they were making for 13 straight games that just didn't go in the fourth quarter. And that stretch to start the fourth, and when I say start the fourth, I mean the first 8 minutes, where they were 1 for 11, 0 of 9 from 3. They get to a point in the last when Castle hits the shot and they're up 111, 105, was it? I forget what the margin was that made it that we all felt like it was a dagger. But Bontemps tweeted out that the Knicks were 4 of 16 in the quarter for 16 points. And when the Knicks got to 105 with 2 minutes left, that was 40 points total in the second half after scoring 42 in that second quarter. Benjy, I mean, you've kind of spoken to it, but is this just a Knicks need to make shots adjustment in the second in game 4? Or do you think that this is the Spurs have started to solve something with the Knicks?
No, I don't. I mean, what did they have tonight? Knicks scored. This might have been the Knicks' highest offensive rating of the series. I'm curious to know if it is.
Oh, no. I'll double check it now.
I bet it is.
Okay.
No, and then I thought in the fourth quarter they missed a lot of good looks. But I said this to John. I think some of those guys were due to miss. Landry Shamet can't shoot 75% from 3. He was going to have a game like this at some point, and you have to just kind of take it, right? And overall, I think they shot something like 35, 36%. It wasn't a shooting disaster. And you bake in some of the ridiculous threes they made. Clarkson, OG, Even Brunson made some deep ones tonight. It wasn't like a tremendous lack of shot making to me that cost them the game. I think they made enough shots to win, and I think it was just a little too sloppy to come out with this one. Like, I just thought they were the more sloppy, less disciplined team tonight. Refs, how they called it, playing a part as well. But if that doesn't help me if I'm talking to the team after the game and trying to get ready for game 4. What helps is to say, hey guys, can't commit these specific fouls. Let's go through the tape. Let's watch what we did wrong. Let's make sure we're in the gaps again on driving lanes. And let's make sure on offense we're attacking, we're catching and going, and we're not catching and holding, and we're not dribbling out the shot clock for 15 different possessions in the game. I think those are all controllables and fixable for the team. And that's what's going to get them, the edge they need in game 4.
So you were right. This was the highest offensive rating in the series for the Knicks. 110.5 in game 1, 105.2 in game. No, excuse me, 108.2 in game 2, 120.7 in game 3.
You should win that game. That game.
On the other side, this is also the Spurs' highest offensive rating in the series at 123.7. We've talked about the Mikal 2 missed free throws, 2 quick early fouls.
Yeah.
In the beginning, which that honestly is, if you're looking for something that if that doesn't happen at the beginning of game 4, that sets a different tempo for the rest of the game, because I think the domino effect from him having to leave the game after 4 minutes then meant Shamet comes in. I just didn't think he did a good job as a point of attack defender on Steph Castle, which allowed Steph Castle to get comfortable and get going. Then Mikal just never found a rhythm. The rest of the night just felt disengaged for the rest of the game, to the point where I thought they might sit him down the stretch.
I think Brown kind of wanted to, and he tried Deuce, and Deuce just didn't have a game at all, had nothing.
Yeah.
And then he tried Shamet, and Shamet was struggling, and then he went back to Bridges with 3:30 left in the game, because I think he was just searching. But I think you're right that his plan was to sit Bridges down the stretch there, because he had been so out of rhythm all night, and it just started right there at the beginning.
Yeah, well, I'm saying the domino effect, though, of those 2 early fouls. Again, not blaming the refs, although both of those were actual calls. But if let's say Bridges is able to play his normal rotation, does Castle get it going? Is Shamet asked to do more on the defensive end than he has in the beginning of throughout most of the postseason? It's weird. Shamet has weirdly decided a lot of Knicks games. He's been such a contributor and a godsend throughout this whole season, really. And here we are in the NBA Finals. You could argue he's in a 4-point game. One of the reasons, one of the deciding factors, just him not being up to the task of replacing Mikal Bridges the way that you needed him to after the fouls. And then just what did he finish? 1 of 7, 1 of 8 in this game from 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. So where are you looking for things that should go differently in game 4 that lead to wins?
Yeah, the most frustrating thing from the Shamet game to me was his ridiculous finger roll layup when Wemby was behind him.
Yeah.
As if that had...
that was his last play of the game. That's
as if there was any other outcome there that existed.
In the moment when it happened. In fact, John's back, I can tell you. In the moment when it happened, I could see, so we're talking about this Shamet. John, you hear us?
Yeah.
So we're talking about this Shamet when he got blocked by Wemby at the rim, where he took it to the rim. And in the moment I said, that there's only one way that possession was going to go, and it's that. And I said something along the lines of, if John's daughter had taken that same shot, it would have had the exact same result. It's as if Izzy was taking a shot against Wemby. That's just what happens when you're Landry Shamet and you take that shot.
But what's so frustrating is, and I thought that was, correct me if I'm wrong, that was with 4:15 or so left in the fourth quarter. Right?
Yeah. And then he got taken out from Mikal.
I wrote down Spurs D, story of game. Because I thought that for as much as I agree with Benji. I think they got good stuff out of and just missed some shots. I can't imagine how disheartening it must be, because that possession up until that shot was a lot of what Mike Brown wants. It was a lot of driving kick, and the whole thing. And then just to get to that point, and it's like, all right, this is what we got. And what you got is Victor Wembanyama treating a very good player like he's my 5-year-old daughter. It's tough, but you got to listen. The finals are about overcoming the mental part of it as much as the physical part of it. Did you guys talk about the refereeing?
Oh, that's what I opened with. You went 22 minutes without mentioning it, and
so
yeah.
And look, that's par for the course for me because I never. That's
Ever.
just it's very rare
unless it's blatant. Yeah.
And well, you know who didn't let it go was Mike Brown. I don't know if you read his review.
What I mentioned. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so he clearly had an issue with it. But I missed what did Benjy say? How egregious?
Yeah, what did Benjy say?
I'm just curious because you just told me what you said. I want to know what Benjy said.
Benjy, go ahead, repeat.
I think the Spurs set up an extremely physical baseline that you can disagree with. I think that on the perimeter, the Knicks get away with as much as the Spurs are getting away with. Now, the Spurs, like strong guards, specialize in that particular defense. Not really what the Knicks want to do defensively, and they're more of a sit-back type of defense. So it advantages the Spurs that baseline on the perimeter is set so high in terms of physicality, and it's a disadvantage for Jalen Brunson in particular, who has to deal with it all game long. But I didn't think that the refs were like way out of line once that baseline was set. Like I thought the Knicks did foul more under those established rules, especially at the rim, than the Spurs did. And I think that's where the disparity is. So, I think there's room to disagree in terms of whether the baseline is the right one, whether you want to see more, you want to see a less physical game on the perimeter. But like, there's a difference between being upset about where the baseline is and then thinking that it was called unfairly based on the baseline that was set, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
And again, my pushback is 24-8 was the free throw discrepancy in the second half. I don't think that the teams played that different of a, like, I agree. The fouls we've talked about when it was you and me, Benjy, like the 2 McCall fouls, the Jalen Brunson closeouts, like there were silly fouls all over the place for the Knicks tonight. I thought they got in the bonus on their own mistakes at the beginning of the fourth quarter.
But that's where the free throw disparity comes from, Andrew. Is the fact they were in the bonus that early and then everyone on the ground is a foul. It's not like they were all shooting fouls. It's that once you're in the bonus that early, it doesn't take much, right?
So if I double check the fourth quarter, because it was one of those things where I looked up in the midway through the fourth and it was already bad. Like this was the third quarter, they were out free throw attempted 14-3, if that's proper English. So I'm like talking about way before the fourth that all of this was established. Again, I opened by saying it's not why they lost. It's not at all why they lost. I didn't think they played well. In a 4-point game, I'm going to that as part of the margin, especially when Victor Wembanyama is quite literally cross-checking
that's problematic.
Jalen Brunson to the ground. That's at least the technical.
That was absurd. That was absurd, and there was, I forget what else there was that was ridiculous.
Not calling the flagrant on Castle for his running over.
I thought Brunson embellished a little, but I also
he did embellish a little. He absolutely embellished a little, and he paid for it because he hurt his back. But
I find this quote fascinating. I mean, do you hear Mike Brown be this forceful? We just wanted to stand and watch one guy dribble a ton. And then when the ball got passed, there were no quick decisions by the guy receiving the basketball. That to me is more the game than the free throw thing for me.
It's it's both. And I think I think that's why he subbed out Deuce McBride so quickly in the first half, is because he just wasn't making that read immediately. And we talked about this after game 1, John, and you just spoke to it, how frustrating it can be. Because you can do everything right on a possession and he can erase it at the end of it.
Yep.
Now, Landry Shamet should have probably tried to either dunk that ball or get to the reverse side. That was a ridiculous finish. One hand gathered into a finger roll. Okay. But even so, that's not the only possession where that happens, where you do everything right and you attack closeout 4 times and you drive and kick, and there he is. He's sitting there and he blocks it anyway. You have to be able to take it, embrace that that's going to happen 5, 6, 7 times a game, and doesn't matter. You hit the gap the next time you catch it. And the Knicks did not do that tonight. And I think that's on Brunson for not starting the blender because he didn't pass the ball very much when he had it. But then I thought it was on the guys who caught it for not making those quick decisions, quick drive. It's a shot, a pass, or a dribble. It's not a hold. And if you hold, he strangles the air out of your possession. That's what Wemby does. you have to make him move 5, 6, 7 ways on any given possession in order to get a crack big enough to score. They did it in game 2 at points. There were very few points in this game where they did it. I thought they made up for it with some elite shot making, but I didn't think the offense flowed in nearly the same way as it did in game 2.
And it feels like Brunson is like, this is not the first time that we have said this about him. You know, it feels like he is trying to get himself going. It feels like he's in that game was making a concerted effort to try to get himself going, which is why you saw 22-point field goal attempts. And like, I want to go look at his shot chart right now. It feels like a bunch of them came in the mid-range. And like he did not hit a ton of tough. Like he had one tough 2 at the end, I think, in the last couple of minutes to like kind of give them a little bit of life. But it just was not an elite shot making game from 2-point range for Jalen Brunson. And again, you said it. This is the standard that he has set. You know, so you know, I don't really know what else to say. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. My God, that's a lot of dots outside the restricted area. And a lot of white dots, not too many blue dots. So, you know, yeah.
Did you talk about Jordan Clarkson at any point?
Yeah, can we?
Sure.
Let's
Benjy.
talk about a guy that might have been an option to play over McHale down the stretch, Benjy. But I thought about it. You go to Jordan Clarkson instead. There was no chance he was going to do it, but with the options being Shamet, who
as much as I love him, playing him down the stretch of that game would have been ludicrous, Andrew.
Would have been chaos, but if the whole point of putting him back in the second quarter was I need to mix it up during a fourth quarter, and I'm mostly like kidding on the second guess. I'm not even really second guessing, but it's more to the point that the turnaround in the second quarter largely started when Jordan Clarkson came into the game. In 13 minutes tonight, he had 10 points and was a +8. And the game,
yeah, and again, it hurts. It hurts to get that performance from him out of nowhere, to get the OG performance, to get the Hart shooting performance, and to lose. That hurts. You don't know if any of those things are going to happen quite to that extent for the rest of the series. And Clarkson, we talked like it was such a smart substitution because Deuce was obviously struggling. Talk about a guy who can like deal with the physicality of like strong defenders and just keeps going and bumping and bruising until he gets to his little half jump hook, winds his way to the rim and can always get the shot off. Quick 3-point release, even though it hasn't been that successful this season. You know he's going to shoot and get it off. He made a corner one, then he made a late clock one out of nowhere. Really smart sub. Again, like Mike Brown pushing a lot of the right buttons here. And he was another right button. And he was great. The only shame of it was he had a great steal. Great steal on Harper. And not only did he throw the ball away, but he threw the ball away. The cat got a second foul all in one shot.
You know what's annoying, Benjy, is like we're laughing about it because it was the Jordan Clarkson experience all in one possession. It's also like a 3-point swing there in a game you lost by 1. You lost by 4.
That was play in the game.
That felt this logically, this makes no sense what I'm about to say. I don't know that any single play in the game felt more deflating to me in the moment than that play.
It's either that or the Castle deep 3 after a great defensive possession. But
the Castle deep 3 was deflating because it's like, oh, okay, this is not we're not.
No, look, that's as big a swing as you're gonna get. I mean, you get the steal and it ends up with a 3-point play plus a foul on Cat that limited him for the rest of the half. It's brutal. It's a brutal swing. There are a few plays in a game that early that can swing the probability that much. That is an example of one where you get that many points plus a foul on one of your best players. So that was a shame, but we overall, I would say, extremely successful stint for JC, and it'll be interesting to see what Mike Brown does. He has some decisions to make now in Game 4. The way Deuce has looked, I think he's been really good defensively, but offensively he's looked frankly lost. The way Clarkson played tonight, I assume he'll stay with Shamet because how could you not? But he has to kind of figure out how he's going to dole out those minutes with his guards off the bench.
One other thing to ask you both. Mitchell Robinson, 7 minutes, -13.
Oh, I didn't realize it was -13. Damn.
Largely felt like he was just in to give Cat a breather. tonight.
4 offensive rebounds in 7 minutes, and yet, well, no, I shouldn't say that. I was gonna say he didn't feel like that he made that level of impact, but I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't feel that -7. Like I didn't necessarily think it's due to his play.
-13.
Sorry, I didn't necessarily.
Yeah.
It's at -13 in 7 minutes.
Yeah.
In 7 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it speaks more to how valuable Cat is to this team right now. I thought Mitch was okay on both sides of the ball. I didn't think he was bad. There's one play that really frustrated me. Again, like goes to like the lack of a little bit of a lack of attention to detail defensively, where in the first half they run a DHO around Cornette, and Mitch is pushed all the way up on Cornette, and I think it was Hart or one of the I can't remember.
Oh, I know the guy
goes over the DHO. Mitch doesn't drop back with Cornette, who's not a shooter.
Yeah.
And it allows a quick dump off pass that I think it was Castle who finished at the rim. And these are kind of like, what are we doing? Like, why are we going again? That just goes to like how pressed up the Knicks were for no reason. Like, Mitch doesn't need to be that high. You don't need to go over the DHO, especially if Mitch is that high. You can't go over the DHO. So just a miscommunication, a lack of attention to detail that we just didn't see defensively for the Knicks the first 2 games. So that was an example of like just what I thought was the worst defensive focus that we've seen from the Knicks in a very long time in that first half in particular.
What's the biggest? Let's go each side of the ball, and then we'll get to our squad bet. What? I know
you did the thing again.
Yeah, because it just feels awkward otherwise.
No, okay. Benjy, what do you got?
No, I want to know one question. What is the biggest fear?
What did John do?
John does this thing where he goes to ask a question and then tells everybody what's going to happen the rest of the show. And he'll do this like 3 times throughout his show. He's like, we're going to ask you one more question. Then we're going to do super chats in our squad bet. And then I'm going to sign off. And then I'm going to go make a sandwich. And then I'm going to do the newsletter.
This bothers Andrew
he does
so
this because they're watching. Just get to the question. They don't need to know what's next. They're going to keep watching.
Guys, we have to stay together.
We're staying together.
It's one loss.
The vibes got thrown off, Ben.
This has been 8 years.
It can't be that one loss in a month and a half has us losing our minds.
Man, I gotta say, after this, I cannot wait. I'm kidding. Go ahead, Benjy.
What is the thing that you're most afraid of on when the Knicks have the ball for moving forward in the series?
I think we're gonna see. Well, the answer is Wemby. I think we're gonna see more of the same, where it's going to be less Wemby on Cat, it's going to be more Wemby on Hart, and it's going to be like, well, what happens in the game when Josh Hart misses the 5 threes and he's 1 for 7? That scares me, and I think we're probably going to get one of those games. And then you have to come off of Hart and all that, and I think the Knicks are ready for that. They've dealt with it before, but that is definitely a concern. And then look, I would say, as much as I still am expecting Brunson to come out of this and have a couple of games here. Yeah. We're now 3 games in. Brunson has yet to have, I would say, an above-average Jalen Brunson game in 3 games against this team. I think it's fair to say they have a good game plan against him. It's that pressure, relentless pressure with Wemby in behind that has definitely bothered him. And so I am scared in a way that Jalen Brunson may just not have a great series here. And can the Knicks overcome that if this continues? They got 2 wins with his like C+C game. How many can they get though, like that? And that's a concern.
And then what about the other side of the ball?
Man, I thought they cleaned it up. The question to me is, I think Fox has definitely found some traction against Brunson in fourth quarters for 2 straight games now, where he's able to split or cross him over and get directly into the paint when they get that
one
switch.
Big drive. Yeah.
Huge drive late. I know Fox didn't have a good game, but it felt like he was getting pretty easy paint touches there. So they're definitely going at Brunson more. That was, again, an obvious adjustment we thought they would do, and they have done it. Harper being that guy, we've talked about him being that X factor since the series began, and I think it's proving to be correct. When he gets it going, he has a skill set that is difficult for the Knicks to guard. I thought Castle made a lot of tough shots tonight. I wouldn't, other than like a couple of the early drives, I thought he was right at the rim. He made a lot of tough floaters. He made some threes. He made a couple mid-range shots, like snaking pick and rolls. I didn't think the defense on him was a problem. I think, give the guy credit, he was great tonight. So the Harper part scares me a little bit. The hunting of Brunson scares me a little bit, but I really thought the Knicks were pretty good defensively, especially in the second half after what we talked about in the first half. So I'm less concerned on that side of the ball. Again, I think the Knicks have a lot of answers for what the Spurs present on that end.
Yeah. Before you go, Benji, I think this is actually a good stay for our squad bet, because I actually think it also tells the story of the game. So our squad bet tonight, presented by FANATICS Sportsbook. For those who don't know what a squad bet is, it's the smartest way to parlay. First of all, what you do is you have several different categories that you could bet on. Points, assists, rebounds, 3-pointers made. You pick a target and then 3 to 6 players and try to hit that target. We took Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, and Miles McBride to hit 5 threes tonight. We're getting plus money on 5 threes at plus 125. These 3 gentlemen went 0 for 8 in this basketball game from 3.
Yeah.
And Karl Anthony Towns, we talked about the hesitations and the pump fakes, and sometimes there's like I theorize that it's like because he's the greatest shooter ever, the shot also needs to be perfect, that he doesn't want to risk the 1 for 8 game that could be there if he just has a trigger. I thought he was a bit passive and a bit hesitant tonight, as we've talked about. Mikal Bridges barely played. And when he played, he was very disengaged in the offense and almost got benched down the stretch. So
I thought, I mean, look, he brought him in with what, 4 to go?
Yeah,
30.
It was right after the
30?
Shamit attempt on Wemby. And then McBride played 9 minutes and went 0 for 2.
That was, I mean, it was a borderline benching.
Yeah, so, Andrew and I talked about it while you're gone, John. Like, it felt like he wanted to finish without Mikal, but then Deuce wasn't good, and then he tried Shamit, and Shamit wasn't good. So he's like, all right, I guess I'll go back to Mikal. But he was definitely searching there for that fifth guy.
Yeah. So back at it again. I mean, if you lost tonight, you could still use your FANCASH on. I mean, the hat I'm wearing, the hat Benji's wearing, the hat John's wearing, for that matter. But we'll get it back on Game 4, as the Knicks also try to get it back on Game 4.
I'm hoping that there's a 3-point barrage, because if so, I got with my FANCASH, I got a raincoat, and I would like to wear it.
There you go.
On Wednesday night, but it needs to be at the appropriate time.
I would very much like for you to wear that on Wednesday. That would be great. Benji,
ironically, also supposed to pour on Wednesday.
There you go. I might use the code anyway.
Literally.
You're the man. Always appreciate and value your insight. Yeah.
I value you as well, John. I value you as well, Andrew. And listen, 2-1 in the finals, boys. Keep it positive. Keep it fun. This is where you want to be. You would have signed up for a 2-1 lead, wouldn't you have?
Oh, any of us would have at any point in the season.
Yeah.
There you go.
2-1 lead in the finals. Come on.
All right, friends. See you Wednesday night.
Be well.
Later, Benji. Okay.
Let's do this.
1 second. Got to adjust it. Just, I guess, one announcement. Now that there will be a Game 5, Pen 6 watch party. Game 5. Be there or go to Penn. Well, be at Penn 6. That's right.
Come to Penn 6 for Game 5.
Come to Penn 6 for Game 5. Details to follow when the vibes.
And that's gonna be on Saturday night.
That's when Game 5 is. So yes, Game 5. Watch party Penn 6.
Yes.
Going to be a lot of commentary about the officials in the super chats.
I'm sure. As there should be. It was not a, I thought Benji phrased it well. It has not the conversation should be about the baseline, and I don't think the baseline has been fair.
Mike Brown disagrees.
Well, yeah, but I mean, look, not to get the semantics, but like I think his comment was just about the pure number 24-8.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fair, but like there's nuance to everything. In any case, yeah.
Yep. All right. Enjoy the super chats.
Yep. Okay. All right, guys. Still up 2-1 in the finals. All right. Walt Clyde Fraser, the San Antonio shove is a real phenomenon. Yeah, they're getting away with a lot. They're a physical team, and they're bringing that physicality. And Look, was part of tonight the Knicks not dealing with that physicality well enough from a execution standpoint in terms of their lack of discipline and sloppiness? Could have been a part of it. Thanks, Walkai Fraser, for starting us off. Ron Tequila, congrats, Adam Silver. You sack of shit. You get your extended series, that Castle 3 about to be Nemhard 2024 all over again. Wednesday's a must win. No, listen. Is Wednesday a must win? You've already won 2 games in San Antonio, so I don't know what is the when there's going to be a must win in this series, when the team is down 3 games to whatever. That's going to be a must win. Thanks, Ron. Mr. Fabro, $10 for good game 4 vibes. Well, I'm sorry the previous $10 during game 2 didn't work. Can we please all be normal about this loss? You literally cannot win every single game. The Knicks made us all feel like for a while they could. And that's, again, there's a lot of things about this loss that are tough. I think the fact that I haven't lost in 46 days is one of them. Thanks, Mr. Fabro. Appreciate you. I appreciate the contribution for the vibes. I am AK Legend. What's going on? What I would give for a consistent whistle. They cleaned up the turnovers in the second half. I don't know what those calls were. Yeah, I mean, they are allowing the Spurs to be the more physical team. The thing that I don't want to get lost, because Benjy said a few different things. It is more apt, like this. If the officials calling the series as they are calling it, which is to say, allowing more physicality, absolutely plays more into the Spurs' hands than it does the Knicks' hand, because the Spurs by nature are just much more physical with their defense. It's just, it's interesting because, Boyd, the Thunder certainly got a lot of calls. Knicks, not so much here. Thanks, IMAK. Luyan, what's going on, Luyan? Credit the Spurs for winning a game they had to win, but hard not to feel like outside forces conspired to mitigate home court advantage. Well, what outside forces could you possibly be referring to? There was just so much hullabaloo before the game, like the long lines to get in, for obvious reasons. I don't know. Did any of that stuff matter? I don't know. I really don't know. But here's what I know. I know the Knicks didn't put their best foot forward. I know that they did not get any favors tonight, for sure. Thanks, Liam. Jack Corcoran, what's going on, Jack? Awful job handling the enormity of the moment tonight. Yeah, it was. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that feels overly harsh, but here's what I'll say. Let me read the rest of the chat. Brutal to waste this OG game. Pressure only increases. Game 4 is the biggest game in Knicks history. Well, Game 7 against the Lakers in 1970 was the biggest game in Knicks history. But this is probably, I don't know, is the second. It's in the top 5 for sure. I thought tonight was in the top 5 because you win tonight, you essentially win the title. Here's the problem, Jack, or here's the Jack. Yes, they did an awful job handling the enormity of the moment out of the gate, and then they made it not matter because you took a 7-point lead into the half. And that's with all the stuff that you did wrong in the first half. And then what was your excuse to start the third quarter with how you handled that? That was just, it's not okay. Wasn't their best. That's the frustrating. That's the most frustrating part for me. Thanks, Jack. Hold on. We're gonna pause here. Everything okay, Kev? Oh, there we go. Uptown Hoodie, what's going on, Uptown? Disappointing lack of intensity. Well, let me get back to that. Poor body language and careless play from the start. Horrible second half. Never regained the level of play from the second quarter. We deserve to win the first 2 games, but not tonight. I agree they did not deserve to win the game tonight. I will push back on a lack of intensity. I think if anything, they were overly intense on some of the defensive possessions. The body language, I mean, I didn't notice anything. I'll defer to you on that one. If you felt you saw something, then I'll take your word for it. Careless, yeah. The second half of basketball was not what we have come to expect from this team. I mean, they almost scored more points in the second quarter than the third and the fourth quarter combined. Almost. And you were ahead up until those last two somewhat desperation threes, So, yeah. Thanks up, Tari. Deadwards, what's going on, Deadwards? Unforced errors killed them, and the bench didn't do much. Yeah, I mean, we talked about Clarkson. Clarkson was 2 of 2 from behind the arc. The rest of the bench, 1 of 11 from behind the arc. And that's really bad. On a night where your starters really did what they had to do from distance, to go for Shamet Alvarado and McBride to combine to go 1 of 11, it's rough because those were a lot of good looks there too. And then, but the free throw totals are hard to ignore. Just bizarre whistle all series so far. I don't think it's that bizarre. I think it's the league is like, we're gonna let them play. Just so happens that goes San Antonio's favor. Completely agree on the unforced errors part. And that goes for offensive execution and turnovers. Thanks, Edwards. JDM. Stretch to start the fourth cost us. 0 points in a while. I was feeling it in the moment, and I was wondering how long they were going to wait to bring Brunson back into the game. I'll pull it up right now. Again, I'm not sitting here complaining about Mike Brown. I think Mike Brown's pushed all the right buttons. Brunson had 4 fouls, obviously, to say nothing of the fact that he played a lot. But, you had, you were down by 1. You had 91 points. You scored your first basket of the quarter on a Mitchell Robinson tip shot on a Jalen Brunson drive, so a Kobe assist, with 8:30 to go. So you went scoreless for 3 minutes and 30 seconds. That's not good. That's not good enough. Thanks, JDM. Bill Peterfriend, what's going on, Bill? I know you were frustrated tonight, man. Thank you for the very generous contribution, especially on a night when the team did not give you something to feel exactly generous about. Just disappointed. Credit to the Spurs. Now, can we avoid being the same old Knicks and win 2 more, or do they become the first team to win 2 on the road and choke it away in an NBA Finals? Yes. Team still feels different, but the Spurs seem too athletic for JB to be at his best. I don't know. I don't know if it's athleticism that I would say. I think it's the physicality is taking a toll. I think the fact that there's just here's the thing. We've seen Jalen Brunson make tough shot after tough shot after tough shot for 4 years, right? There's maybe not him and SGA. They're the 2 best tough shot making perimeter players in the league, I would argue. But when Brunson makes those tough shots, it's just like the one defender that is in front of him, usually, that he has to worry about in terms of making the tough shot. Now, it's the defender that's in front of him, and it's the 7'4" guy behind the defender in front of him. And when you just have to worry about both of those things. Now, Wemby isn't always there, but he's often in the vicinity, and he is often making your life a little bit tougher. And this isn't just him. Again, we just witnessed Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the 2-time MVP of the league, most unstoppable scoring guard since I don't know when, putting up Jordan numbers in the regular season. It took him until game 7 to really get going offensively and start making some shots that like he customarily makes. We're now through 3 games with Jalen Brunson. I thought tonight was going to be the night where he would come out and hit shots. It didn't happen. Let's hope it's game 4, because at some point I do think like there's never a game where Jalen Brunson tough shot making isn't part of a winning formula. Or rarely. But at the same time, they got to move the ball more and trust the pass. 18 assists on 40 made field goals. It's not good enough. Thanks, Bill. Really appreciate that. Another very generous one here from Emzal. Hey, thank you so much, Emzal. Appreciate this again, especially after a loss. The Spurs are too good to benefit from the whistle this much. So mad and sick to my stomach right now. The Knicks team will be fine if this whistle doesn't change. I don't know. 2 more. We got this. Let's fucking go. I still think they're going to win the series. Am I as confident as I was before they lost this game? No, because now it's 48 minutes from home court flipping, and you want to talk about the Spurs getting all the momentum if they win game 4. But we're not going to think about that. I don't even want to talk about it. I want to think about the Knicks coming out and playing a better basketball game because, and this is the thing, Emzal, like, for all that we're talking about the free throw disparity, and yes, the free throw disparity was very real, and you can say, as Mike Brown did, he doesn't understand how you could possibly have that discrepancy in a game. I'm just looking at all of these other things that they could have been better at, and they were not good enough at those other things. And it's just such a shame, because if they had been better at like a couple of things, or if a couple of guys would have been better at a couple of things, and again, they only lost by 4. They didn't lose this game by 15. They lost by 4 points. So just be better. Hope the whistle's better, but you got be better first and foremost. I think they realize that based on their comments put aside the coach's comments, based on the comments that like you hear from the players, it feels like they know they need to be better. Bro, here's a quote from Brunson. Was asked about Wemby shoving him early in the game. Whatever you saw is what you saw. Brunson said, we turned the ball over a lot, first and foremost, and also we were fouling a lot. Yeah. Anyway. Thanks, Emzo. Mackie, man. Thank you. It's one thing to be feeling great and being like incredibly generous after a win or during a game where things are going good, but to do this in a game like that where I know you're as disappointed as anyone says a lot about you, man. So thank you. Really, thank you. Okay. Love MSG, but it gets so quiet and nervous. What we saw in San Antonio was an insane atmosphere because you see back and forth between Spurs fans and Knicks fans. Let's turn this around. Yeah, and this is part of what I was nervous about going into the game. We've been talking about it for days. That crowd was going to be the most amped up crowd that anyone has ever seen. If you are at a forget an 11, if you're at a fucking 17 in before the game starts, and listen, the Knicks have a lot to do with this too. And then you get that start, and the Knicks, and you're down 16-6, you're down 10 points kind of before you blink an eye. And it's like you're down that many, and it's like it's a pretty uninspiring start to the game. I mean, that was rough. It's impossible to sustain that energy. Where the Knicks crowd is better than any crowd in any sport is that if the team is down and you give that crowd something to cheer about, they will cheer, louder and more vociferously and have more hope in that moment than any crowd. And in the second quarter, the Knicks gave them a lot to cheer about. And they responded. And it was a beautiful Not a vicious cycle, whatever the opposite of a vicious cycle is. It's a beautiful cycle. And like all of that stuff, you throw it aside because you started the damn second half with a 7-point lead. You know, and you just didn't execute at all. Could the, you know, yeah, just didn't execute at all. That's the tough part. Thank you so much, Becky. Appreciate that, man. Hush, Zoo, what's going on, Hush? Honestly, I'm pretty confident in game 4, I think you mean. Cat needs to shoot more. Passed up too many open looks. JB dribbling too much. Felt like all his turnovers were gut punches to our momentum. Deuce and Landry will shoot better. Benjy said it's going to be very interesting to see which direction Mike Brown goes here. Because Deuce, not a good game from Deuce. He has not been great in this series. Defensively, he's been very good. Offensively, he's been very poor. So that'll be interesting. The Brunson turnovers were so frustrating. Just so frustrating. There's no other way. There's no two ways about it. Thanks, Hush. Samwise Tarley, what's going on, Samwise? Frustrating loss for many reasons. I think if I was going to sum up the game in one short sentence, frustrating loss for many reasons is my sentence that I would use. I hope it wakes them up. I hope it makes them wake up with their piss hot on Wednesday. Thanks, KFS. Watch along for helping me get through it. Yeah, I mean, you know, we're all sitting there living and dying on every possession, man. As far as helps wake them up. I mean, look, they've been playing outstanding basketball. I don't think it was a wake up issue tonight. It was a lack of poise and a lack of execution at the wrong time. Lack of discipline too. Sorry. Discipline, poise, execution, all the above on both ends of the floor. They were just too amped up. Can they rein it in a little bit, you know, and not let the officials get in their heads, not let any of this shit get in their heads? Thanks, Samwise. They know the opportunity they have. I don't think they're going to blow it. With that cheap shot on Brunson, Wemby has entered Embiid territory in my book. We're blessed to be here, and our team will bounce back. I love the positivity, Poe. Love the positivity, and yeah, Wemby made himself a lot of enemies in New York today. A lot of enemies. Thanks, Pio. Hushu with another one. Obviously, we're used to sweeps. Yes. But this team has now seen its first adversity in a while. I'm curious how they will answer this now. Just go back to San Antonio 3-1. Yeah. Yeah, you know, look, you got a home game. Speaking of home game, I'm actually just curious. Are the Knicks favored in game 4? I would assume that they will be very slight favorites, but I'm checking now. Shout out to our friends at Fanatics. 2-point favorites. Same as they were for this game. Okay. Thanks, Hush. Hannibal Miles, what's going on, Hannibal? We went back to defending from the 3-point line instead of starting at half court. No sense of urgency tonight. Towns disappeared offensively. Could they have picked up more at half court? Sure. But again, it's like they were overly aggressive at the 3-point line, you know? And Spurs made shots, so I get it. I get why, but you can't take everything away from this team. Like like if this team is going to hit, if Harper and Castle and Fox are going to hit tough threes, like what you can't allow that penetration. But you know, again, they cleaned it up a little bit. So Towns disappeared offensively. Yeah, we talked about that. I don't think it was I don't think he shrunk. I think he passed up a couple threes that he should have taken. Plain and simple. And maybe Wednesday night, he'll take them. Matty Heads, what's going on, man? Disgraceful officiating. Sure, I'm down for that. Refs tried to hand Spurs 2 games, and they only got 1. Knicks in 5 till it's not. I'm down for that. I'm down for that. Get game 4, man. Just get game 4. That's it. Talk about nerves. Music in my... Oh, Chris. What's going on, Chris? Sucks to say, but JB has really let us down in this series. It's semantics, Chris. That's not the phrasing that I would use. Has he disappointed relative to expectations? Yes. I would not say that he has let me down, because I guess I have my own definitions for like what it means to let me down. He's going out there and he's given everything he has. And oh, by the way, he has made just some of the most massive shots in the end of games of 1 and 2. And kind of did it tonight too. Like, look, he wasn't great tonight. Made some shots down the stretch of that game that if Fox doesn't hit a shot or Castle doesn't hit a shot, maybe we're sitting here having a very, 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 very different conversation. But those guys did hit those shots. So we're not having that conversation. So no, I would not agree with that phrasing, Chris. But has he been a disappointment relative to what I was expecting? Yes. Alfie Greco, what's going on, Alfie? Egregious turnovers, free throw disparity, and went cold in the second half. Unlikely you win that game. Play with more poise on Wednesday and take game 4. I think they went cold in the 4th more than the 3rd. I think the real criminal thing was just the lack of poise in the lack of poise in the 3rd quarter. You know, like I'm looking at the field goal percentage. They were 3 of 6 from deep in the 3rd and 11 of 23 overall. Now, Spurs took 14 free throws. The Knicks took 3. That matters. That matters. But like, it was really, they just went cold from deep in the 4th, and which, like, hey, it's going to happen sometimes. Shouldn't have put yourself in that position. Jason M. What's going on, Jason? They never looked comfortable against the Spurs defense. I would agree with that. Way too much JB ISO. I would agree with that, and so would Mike Brown. Not enough Cat. Again, a little trickier without the Spurs regarding them, but sure. Still has a chance to win. Still had a chance to win. Coaches have a lot of work to do. I am not putting this one on the coaches, as will surprise nobody. Players got a lot of work to do. Players got to come out there. You gave yourself a gift with those 2 wins in San Antonio. You gave yourself a gift. And yeah, part of it was Wemby gave you a little bit of a gift too when he missed that shot. So you squandered half of that gift. You squandered half of that gift. Now, you could say maybe tonight you squandered the half you didn't earn as much. Game 2. But then again, Tony Brothers. So I don't know if I don't believe that. Either way, just don't squander the whole gift. That's all. Just don't squander the whole gift. Thanks, Jason. Smitty Pa, what's going on, Smitty? Thank you for the generosity here. Appreciate it. If we were going to lose, this was the one to lose. We go up 3-0 and lose game 4, then lose game 5, and then game 6 is tight as hell. That's an interesting theory. Lock in for game 4 and win, and we will feel much better going back to San Antonio to close it out. You know what? Okay, so Smitty, I'm not going to lie. I've actually, because DJ posed the question, and I've been thinking of it myself for 2 days. If I got signed for a 3-1 series lead after game 4, would you sign for it? And I didn't answer. If you put a gun to my head, what would I have said before this game? If you put a gun to my head, I would have said, yeah, I'll sign for 3-1. Now, within that is what's better to happen. You could say, like, well, this is crazy, Smitty. No team has ever come back from 3-0 down in NBA history. So why would you want to lose game 3? So I get that. At the same time, like, I also get where you're coming from. Like right now, it feels like the Spurs have all the momentum. It feels like the Spurs were one shot away from winning game 2. And if that shot went down, they would be up 2-1 instead of down 2-1. And now they're all talking to themselves like, hey, guys, we just proved that we could beat this team on the biggest stage imaginable, the biggest game in the history of the city. Like, we just proved that. So let's just go out there and do it again. And, take care of business at home. We win the championship. Like, they should be feeling confident. If the Knicks can come back and vanquish that confidence with a win in game 4, now look, I think the Spurs will come out ready to go in game 5, regardless of if they win or lose game 4. But look, I probably would have taken the win tonight. But I see where you're coming from. Thanks, Smitty. Hush. Also, JB just needs to shoot more threes. I mean, he took 5 tonight, which could say shoot more, especially if you're shooting them well. Settle for long twos, and he didn't get his paint touches and is killing us. His pull-up 3 ball is what shifts the series. Yeah, his pull-up 3 ball is huge, but we have never in any series seen Jalen Brunson say to himself or the world, like, I'm just going to stop taking tough twos. That's always part of the equation, because eventually he is always going to hit the tough twos. It's been 3 games. He hasn't really hit them yet. I don't think he should stop taking them. That's me. Shoot more threes for sure. But he's got to make some tough twos at some point. Maybe take less of them. David Crockett, what's going on, David? Let's keep it 100. We're not 3 games better than the Spurs. Still got to be strong with the ball in June. 13-8 in turnovers was the difference. Yeah, 13-8 in turnovers, and I'm sure you know well the second half of that stat, which is the points off turnovers, 21-7. That's 14 points in a game you lost by 4. We're not 3 games better than San Antonio. I agree we're not 3 games better than San Antonio, which in a way makes this all the more frustrating because they had a real chance to go up 3 games to none against San Antonio, even though they are not 3 games better than San Antonio. So, very frustrating. It's just the only word I can continue to come back to tonight. Hayden Freed, what's going on, Hayden? F Donald Trump. Ruining our country and run. Hey, listen, everybody's views are free reign here. I'm not going to object. I'm glad he's not going to be at game 4. I'll say that. Why can't we have Ime Udoka? Might want to change that. I'm so disappointed in both JB and the coaching staff. Why don't they intervene and say this isn't how we got here? What are you doing? I mean, Brown said afterwards, I think if it was that easy, they would have done it. I'm sure, I guarantee you in the huddles, they said, move the ball, move the ball, move the ball. Guys got to listen. They didn't execute, but I'm not about to blame the coaching staff. The coaching staff has been brilliant for a month and a half. The Knicks have been brilliant for a month and a half. Tonight they lost the plot a little bit. It's up to them to get it back. Iceman Sham, what's going on, Iceman? Disappointed in the start of the third, and it felt like every time we got a good stop, we would just throw it out of bounds, still in a good spot. Yeah, it's funny. They came up with big stops in this game. And there were a lot of occasions, I think, in the fourth quarter in particular. I mean, they held the Spurs to 23 points in the fourth quarter. Like, it really was the first and the third. 33 in the first, 35 in the third. That means in the quarters, the 2 quarters where you had the most momentum, you gave up 68 points in those 2 quarters combined. Not good enough. Sam Garcia, I feel sick to my stomach, John. Yeah, man. It's, lost the finals game and you didn't play your best basketball. And the refs were kind of shitty. So it's good. It's a winning combination. for a upset stomach. Dom, what's going on, Dom? How you doing, man? Thank you for the contribution. We can either be worried we can either be worried just because our streak is over, or believe that this team can bounce back as they've shown they can and are up 2-1. I'll wait until they lose on Wednesday to get nervous. I mean, look, I was nervous. I was more nervous. I said it before the watch along. I'll say it now. I was more nervous for this game than I've ever been for another Knick game in my life. That was me. Did the players feel that? I have no idea. If I didn't know better, I would say based on how they played, yeah, I think they felt that a little bit. So I was nervous already. I'm obviously going to be nervous going into Wednesday. They have proven to us that they should get the benefit of the doubt. I think the part to be nervous about is like you won games 1 and 2 in part because San Antonio did not have the requisite poise in those to win those games. If you would have expected, given their youth, that if they did not have the poise to win their home games, how would they have the poise to win this game in this environment? And they came out and they answered the bell in a massive way from a poise perspective, from an execution perspective, from a being locked in on their game plan perspective. That's the part that is making me nervous, because it's like, oh, the young team responded as well as you could have possibly imagined them responding, and they are really good. Now, I think the Knicks are better when the Knicks are at their best. Case in point, Spurs, I thought, were pretty close to their best tonight. Knicks were definitely not, and it was a 4-point fucking game, which again adds to the frustration. Thanks, Tom. Hajju, MB needs to run more action for Cal, too. It's funny because you started that super chat and I thought MB was referring to Mikal Bridges. You got to be more specific. Run more actions for Mikal. Yeah, it was a quiet game for Bridges. The whole offense just out of sorts. Whole offense was out of sorts. Dan Hidalgo, what's going on, Dan? Didn't need this one, but would have been nice. Spurs played with desperation. There's a lot the Knicks can and will clean up. We persist. I hope you're right. The Spurs definitely played with desperation. I would expect them to play with desperation on Wednesday. I would expect the Knicks to play with desperation on Wednesday. I would also expect the Knicks to play a smarter basketball game on Wednesday. Like, they got the first one out of, like, the most anticipated home game in the history of the franchise, whatever. They got that one out of the way. Now it's just about go and win the basketball game. You did this last year against Boston. Go do it again. Thanks, Dan. John Leary, can't be down 8-9 after every first quarter. Cat, more involved, please, and don't pump fake out of the open threes. I think the first quarter, I would actually be curious. What was their worst quarter, the first quarter or the third quarter? They were both very bad for me. Second quarter was as amazing as you could find them. And then the fourth quarter was the start. No points for 3.5 minutes. Thanks, John. Jack McMick. What's going on, Jack? How you doing? We need to dare everyone, not name Vassell and Champagny, to shoot the three. We're getting blown by too often when nobody else can shoot the three consistently. I mean, but that's the thing, is that's the difference tonight versus games 1 and 2. Games 1 and 2, they were much more sound on their execution on that kind of stuff. And other than Champagny's first half in game 1, thought they were great the last, game and a half. Tonight, not good enough. And Vassell hasn't even really hurt them, at least not from a volume perspective. Tonight he made 3 of 4, but only shot 4. Champagny 3 of 7. Got a little lucky. Fox didn't make a single 3, but everybody else did. So maybe that's. And Dylan Harper settled for 8 threes, man. Thanks, Jack. John Leary, not why they lost, but 14 more free throws for San Antonio in the second half. Yeah. Very egregious. Neslaw, Spurs getting into the bonus with 8 minutes left was a killer. In the fourth quarter, yes. Absolutely. It was a killer. And I actually think the Knicks did well to navigate that situation, given that they were in the bonus that early. But yeah, it's tough because it changes the type of defense that you're going to play. And that's the thing is, like, you go back and you look at some of those early fouls in the fourth quarter. I don't know. In the moment, I don't think there was one that like jumped out to me like, oh, that's not a foul, but I'll go back and I'll rewatch. Rowan B, what's going on, Rowan? Hey, John, didn't understand the rotations tonight. Okay. Too much Shamet. He didn't have it on either end. 9 minutes reduced. Kale out of rhythm because of it, in my opinion. Well, the Bridges problem was the fouls. So Bridges just got fouls and Mike Brown. I didn't think there was anything in terms of Mike Brown's minutes with Mikal Bridges that was for a reason other than the foul thing until he waited until like there was whatever it was, 3.5 or so minutes left in the fourth. Because to me, it's like, all right, the guy has 5 fouls. You put him in with 5 minutes. Usually you'd say 5 minutes to go in the game with someone like Mikal Bridges, who is generally very good at not executing fouls. Maybe you say put him in with 6 minutes left in the game. Look, it was 2 minutes later. That's not going to bother me. Deuce having a rough time on offense. And the thing about Shamet, the thing we all love about Shamet, the thing that I love about Shamet, the thing that Mike Brown loves about Shamet, he could miss however many straight shots from deep. He thinks the next one's going in. And that's the sort of guy you want out there. And I think Shamet, look, he didn't produce tonight. Should you have trusted Deuce a little bit more, especially since he's been probably on balance the better of the two defensively, especially against the bigger of the bigger Spurs guards? Yeah, I'm not gonna completely disagree with you. I just, for me, the rotations didn't bother me tonight. A lot of things bothered me tonight. The rotations are not one of them. All right, we do stat of the game. Jonah Kaufman's Nito stat of the game. Thank you, Jonah. 18 fewest Knicks assists have had, or fewest assists the Knicks have had in the postseason, and they only had one fewer assist once in the regular season. Lowest assist to field goal ratio of both the regular and the postseason. That is a damning stat. 13 turnovers to the Spurs, 8. Largest turnover differential in a game this postseason. They are 1-3 with 2+ more turnovers than their opponents. Very, 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 very telling stat. So 1-3 with 2+ more turnovers than opponent. That's a good stat. The assist percentage one though, man, that's like, hold on, I gotta see this for myself. That is freaking brutal. Yeah, advanced game log. Here we go. Hold on. Assist rate. Jesus. Yeah, this tells you all you need to know. The Knicks this season, when they've had an assist rate under 54, were 2-5. And this postseason, their lowest previous their assist rates in both of their losses to Atlanta were it was 56.4, which is the 5th lowest of the playoffs going into tonight, and then 47.5, which was the lowest. If you don't move the ball, you don't win. That's a problem. And it falls on Jalen Brunson more than anybody else. It just does. Thanks, Jonah. Good stat stuff right there. Okay, keeping it going. Alfie Greco. Maybe it's blind faith, but I refuse to believe JB doesn't play much more steadily in Game 4. Mikal getting into foul trouble early cost us big time as well. I will listen. JB, the Knicks, we could be sitting here a week or whatever from now talking about an oncoming Game 7, and we could be talking about Jalen Brunson not having had a good game yet in the series, and I'll still believe he's going to have a good game. So, down with the ship. Thanks, Alfie. Neo Marioism, what's going on? The entire offense became walk the ball down with Brunson and have him take a bad shot. Cat was just getting waved off by JB. Love Cat, but I don't get it. They were conceding this. They were giving him a matchup he was comfortable with, conceding the switch. They were single covering. In JB's mind, it's like, okay, we have attained the advantage. We have me, Jalen Brunson, on a guy who I should be able to make tough shots against. And I think the reality is that, again, because it's not just that one body, because there's the Wemby body as well in the vicinity, it's just deceiving. And these are tough shots. Now, he's a tough shot maker. He hasn't made enough of them in this series. Thanks, Neil Marioism. MacDoob, what's going on, MacDoob? They did not play their best, no. But sweeping the last 3 series always felt a little crazy. Yeah, but, you could be forgiven as a Knicks fan for feeding into some crazy notions over the last, couple weeks especially. So that's why we are where we are. They were bound to lose one. Now they need to bounce back like a championship team should. Let's go, Knicks. Listen, I know a lot of people over the last few days, the last 48 hours before this game, were kind of getting swept up in like, oh my God, if they win both home games and they sweep them and they end the postseason and they, tying the Spurs all-time or the Warriors all-time record, 15 straight wins. It's a team that we'll be talking about in the history books. I never gave a shit about any of that. I really didn't. I never once for a second started to think about, where would this Knicks team rank historically? I don't care. Lose the next 2 and then win the last 2 and win in 7. I don't give a shit as long as they win the championship. That's what I care about. All that being said, you lost tonight. The streak's over. If you win the next 2, game 4 and then game 5 and 16-3, that's still among the best ever, and you're going to have the scoring margin that's up there. So, but you got to win the championship. That's it. That's all there is to it. You got to win the championship. New York Impact, what's going on? An extremely unfortunate loss tonight. Yes. 2-1 is very different from 3-0. Yes. The Knicks looked off. Yes. They must regroup quickly. Yes. This is the NBA Finals. Yes. Find 2 more wins. Yes. This team has responded all year. You know what? That's like 8 different statements, and I wholeheartedly agree with every single one of them. Good job by you, New York Impact. And I love that avatar. It's very funny for whatever reason for me. Joseph Sokola, what's going on, Joseph? Hope you're doing well. The Spurs played dirty, and the refs were clearly in on it. Yeah, just wait till we get Zach Zarba for game 4. Still, if we don't turn the ball over so much, we win. All my fears from years of Knicks PTSD are raging. Got to find our poise and win game 4. I do just feel compelled to point some because it's just going to bother me if I don't, because I'm, again, a stickler for this stuff. Yes, the Knicks turned the ball over a lot tonight. It was the how more than the what. And as proof of that, I'm looking it up right now. The Knicks in this postseason, so they turned it over, it was 13 times, right? Double check that before I get something wrong. 13 turnovers. They have turned it over more than 13 times. What is 16 minus 9? Or no, sorry. They've turned it over more than 13 times, 9 times thus far in the postseason before tonight. Now, 2 of those games were losses. They turned it over 14 times against the Hawks, and they turned it over 18 times against the Hawks. But like game 1 against Cleveland, you turned it over 19 times. Now, granted, crazy fourth quarter comeback, you won that. But like they turned it over 15 times in, what was that, game 4 against the Hawks that they won by 16. They turned it over Now, you can look at some of these as like blowouts. They turned it over 15 times in game 2 against Philly. And they still won that. Oh, no, sorry. Game 3 against Philly. Game 3 against Philly. Turned it over 15 times there. Like, they turned it over 15 times a pop in both games in Cleveland. Like, they have turned it over throughout the postseason. It hasn't been untenable, but they've turned it over. It was the fact that so many of the fucking turnovers were unforced, and then you combined it with the fact a lot of these offensive possessions were just like, man, you're just not getting a quality look because you're not moving the ball around. And even though it's not a turnover, it feels like a turnover because of the lack of execution. That's the problem. That's the problem. Anyway, finish Joseph's comment here. All my fears from years of Knicks PTSD are raging. Got to find our poise and win game 4. I got to tell you, I thought I was going to be in this state for the next 48 hours with the way I felt at the end of that game. I'm already like, yeah, go win game 4. Like, you're fucking awesome. You're a great team. Go play like and go win game 4. That's where I'm at. Thanks, Joseph. Dominic, what's going on, Dominic? Thanks for the contribution. Appreciate you. Am I crazy for wanting Tyler minutes? Like, literally 2. Nothing's crazy right now. I mean, like, Jordan Clarkson was out of the rotation. He's back in. I think the problem with Tyler Kolek, and it's like, so it's basically, are you going to play him over Alvarado? And I think the answer is no, because Alvarado's been good. Like, Alvarado was good and has been good in this series. He was good tonight. He was probably one of your better players tonight. Are you going to play him with Alvarado? I don't like that. I don't think it's necessary. Are you going to play him with Brunson? Well, that's untenable defensively. And more generally, speaking of Tyler, I just think anytime Tyler Kolek's on the court, if he was on the court in this series, you would just see, you want to talk about blatant targeting from the Spurs, you would see that. So I just don't know. I don't see the door, but I get where you're coming from. But look, Dominic, they could play so much better than they played tonight. They really can. The guys that played, they could be better. Bryce Biscus, what's going on, Bryce? Knicks need to unleash the Spurs killer, Tyler Kolek. All right, got another vote for Tyler Kolek. I don't think we're gonna get him, but you never know. Crazier things have happened. Jordan Miller, too many quarters where the Spurs got in the bonus early. Smart move by Johnson to take Wemby off of Cat. I completely agree. It was the move. If you're a Spurs fan, you might be like, at this point, you might be like, man, too little, too late. You know, should have done it earlier. In any case, didn't love JB's process. Thought too much dribbling. Yep. Really didn't like his process. 100%. OBP, what's going on, OBP? Wemby push on JB. Brunson flagrant. Harper stepping on the floor. Harper stepping on the floor. I forget. I don't know what that reference is to. 22-4 free throw attempts in the second half. Can we talk about the reffing in all 3 games? Game 1, I thought the reffing was fine. Game 2 I was more personally aggrieved by the game 2 refereeing than tonight. I thought game 2 was worse. I thought there were 5 or 6 like ginormous, egregious, blatant, whatever word you want to use, miscalls. Tonight, they missed Wemby punching Jalen Brunson or elbowing Jalen Brunson in the head. And I will say, I'm glad you brought it up. I thought that was the most ridiculous call I've ever seen, that they went and looked at that and they determined that that was a Brunson flagrant. I didn't like, it felt like he went out of his way on the closeout not to get in the landing area, you know? But look, the closeout rules, they are what they are. Thanks, OBP. J-Rock, what's going on, J-Rock? I'm sure Frodo and Sam would have loved to just plop that ring into Mount Doom, but alas, sometimes our heroes need a journey. I love it. We never thought it was going to be this easy, did we? Come on. John Leary, Think Robinson has been disappointing in his minutes. I would say, on balance, Robinson through 3 games in the series has been somewhere between fine and solid. He's been okay. For me, he's been okay. I don't see disappointing. For me, he's been okay. The only guy I've been disappointed by in the series, and this is fucking crazy to say, and you want to talk about too much is given, much is expected, is Jalen. I'm a little disappointed in Jalen. Everybody else, on balance, I think everybody else has done what they had to do. Thanks, Jordan. Jordan Miller with another one. Also crazy how hard the Spurs make it for Brunson, Hart, or whoever when bringing up the ball. It caused the offense to look disjointed most of the night. Yeah, I mean, they've been doing this for 3 games. Like, this is what they do. This is how they play. They have these young guards. They pick you up pretty much the whole way. It's part of what makes their defense effective. Because when you combine that with the Wemby piece, it's why, like, the Knicks scored 111 points tonight. Like, that should be enough to win. If your defense had played as well as it has over the course of the playoffs, 111 points against this Spurs defense is enough to win. And they didn't. G.O. What's going on, G.O.? Didn't play well enough tonight. My thoughts exactly. Clean up the turnovers. JB needs to be a better decision maker, 100%. Maybe he doesn't always need to bring the ball up. Maybe get Cat involved instead of pounding the rock. Yes and yes. I mean, I will say there were times where he wasn't bringing the ball up towards the end of the game or in the second half. I noticed it. Like, Hart brought it up a few times. Look, it's not like JB brings the ball up very quick, but when someone else brings the ball up, it does generally take longer. But no, it's not an excuse. Hit a couple more threes and we're good. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, he was 3 of 5 from deep tonight, so that's good. That's the other thing. You wasted a good JB 3-point shooting game. Rob DeLuisma, what's going on, Rob? KFS fam, the refs are atrocious. Plain and simple truth. Hashtag 2 more wins. Hashtag 5 verse 8. I appreciate what Mike Brown said after the game. I'm happy he said it. I'm really happy he said it. Because someone needed to say it. I don't want the Knicks coming out in game 4 worried about the refs. Okay? I just don't. Like, that would be bad. They have to go out there and execute and play their game. Thanks, Rob. Sand Reckoner Band. Hold on one sec. My mayor Muslim, my bagels Jewish, my Jesus alive, Nixon 5. That's good. Put it get that on a t-shirt before somebody else does. Thanks. Ignacio Bregat, what's going on? Some guys needed to play better. Also, fuck that orange POS for ruining the vibes for the real fans. And F. Silver for trying to justify him as a Knicks fan and for letting the Zebras help the Spurs. Well, play better. Some guys did need to play better. And co-sign everything else. Hazu, including Hack-a-Mitch, the Spurs 84 free throws to the Knicks 61. Yeah, it's not. It is not. The way they have called the series has been decidedly advantage San Antonio. Decidedly. And you still didn't play well enough to win. Frisch dogs, Wemby should have been fucking ejected. Disgraceful. If they had looked at it, he might have been. If they had looked at it. And the fucking crime of it is, there was a ref right there. There was a ref 7 feet away. right there. Saw the play. And when it happened, Brunson immediately motioned over to the ref, being like, do you not see that? Like, come on, dude. It's fucked up. Nicolas Cage, Castle on Wemby, skulls have been ejected. What the fuck? I don't know what that means. Thanks, Nicolas Cage. Beach Chair. What's going on, Beach Chair? Thanks for the generosity here. I want to preface that I'm not a blame the refs guy. It's a hard job where there is no scenario where the public will say, good job. But tonight was so egregious in how their goal was to extend the series. Refs are capable of refereeing a good game. I thought the refs refed a great game in Game 7 between the Thunder and the Spurs. I thought the refs for Game 1 were fine. Like, there were a couple of bad misses, but, like, overall, the refs were fine in Game 1. Scott Foster was fine. Again, for me, Game 2, more egregious than Game 3. But I get where everybody's coming from for Game 3, and I'm totally fine with it. Lunas, what's going on, Lunas? Seeing this team have heartbreaking home losses to come back with crazy road wins. Philly, Detroit, obvious turnaround versus Atlanta. Boston, Game 3. They shake shit off fast. They'll come back pissed. Hopefully end of DT vibes. Look, they're gonna come. They're not gonna let this linger. They're not gonna come out and be thinking of it. They're gonna go to sleep and they're gonna put this behind them. They're gonna know they didn't play well enough. They're gonna know they could play better. They'll be fine. Just come out and play your game in Game 4. You know, come out and play your game. Go out on your terms. If you're gonna go out. EO Peace. The non-calls on Wemby make him think he could do anything, and it'll get worse. But the Knicks, especially JB, should transcend that. The Knicks are more prepared to win the title than the Spurs right now. That is of all the PTSD I have, of all the thoughts that have been going on in my head over the last 48 hours, of all the thoughts that are going to go on in my head over the next 48 hours or whatever it is. I believe the Knicks are in a better position right now to win a title than the Spurs are. Do I believe that the Knicks are like the more talented team or the team that is better equipped at full maturity? No, like that. None of that shit matters. This year, right now, the Knicks are better equipped to win a title. They need to make good on that. They have made good on it for a month and a half. Get back to do what you were doing. That's all. Missed opportunity tonight. Ray, Sam Garcia's dad, what's going on? The Knicks do not pull the trigger quick enough when receiving a pass, and too often they settle for another pass instead of a shot. Look, I'm not disagreeing with you, Ray. The tough part is like your head coach since training camp opened in like September 30th. His mantra has been drive and kick. Drive and kick, drive and kick, drive and kick. What the magic of this Spurs defense, with how they're able to fly around, in part because they have a lot of talented defenders and in part because of Wembanyama, the magic of the Spurs defense is that it starts to cloud your judgment as to what is and what is not a good shot. Because you're like, oh, wait, I'm kind of open. And then before you even like realize what's going on, it's like, oh, wait, no, I guess I'm not actually that open. All right, let me kick it to somebody else. And it's like, so I'm not going to get on them for that, but like, you know, the way to handle it is like, if you don't even think about it, being like, okay, I have enough room to get the shot off. I'm going to get the shot off. But you also want to try. You also want to believe that there are better shots out there. So I don't know. I don't know. It's just, listen, make more shots. He had shots in the fourth quarter. He didn't make them. Another one from Ray. The unforced turnovers also showed a lack of focus. The team was not as sharp as they should have been, and the win streak may have helped cause that. Oh, I don't think the win streak had anything to do with it. I don't think the win streak had anything to do with it. I think, if anything, the atmosphere early had a lot to do with it. As far as why they came out in the third quarter, the way they came out to start the third, I have no fucking clue. No clue. That to me is I wasn't actually shocked by how they started the game off. I was kind of sort of expecting it even. How they started the third quarter off was like, that was befuddling to me. Thanks, Ray. Spence from the West. What's going on, Spence? What happened to the Cat as quarterback offense? Well, that's much tougher to run against this San Antonio team because of Wembanyama and because of how certainly because of how they guarded the Knicks tonight. Guys staring at JB off ball, need to move. Yeah, well, Brown said as much. He's like, we stood around watching a guy dribble. Cat needs to post up the Munchkins guarding him. Let's go Knicks. Yeah, they're making it tough because anytime Cat gets that mismatch, they're going to shade Wemby over, or Cornette if he's in the game, and they're just putting so much pressure. Nothing is easy. Thanks, Spence. Mr. Abe, what's going on, Mr. Abe? Thank you for the generosity here. The NBA retroactively assessed LaMelo for a flagrant 2 on his trip on Bam during the play-in after backlash. If people make this an issue, Wemby's hit on Brunson gets reviewed for a flagrant and he will be suspended. Mr. Abe, if they suspend Victor Wembanyama for Game 4 of the NBA Finals, I will. I don't know. What will I do? They are not going to do that. They are not going to do that. It's just not going to happen. I would love for it to happen. It's not going to happen. A little too much wrestling WWE DNA in this sport. Alkmad. Brown in his presser said if Game 4 goes the same way, 24-8 fouls in the second half, it's going to be hard to win. He put them on notice. I think he said the exact thing I wanted him to say. But his phrasing was perfect. Didn't try to take away credit from the Spurs. Didn't try to take away any credit. In fact, went out of his way to credit the Spurs. But I think he said what needed to be said. Blue Flags. What's going on, Blue Flags? Total fouls, 23-21. So work backwards from committing so many shooting fouls and clean up the defense. And somebody tell JB to relax and stop dribbling it out like 2001 Mark Jackson, LOL. But hey, what a stage. JB's got to be better. That's all there is. JB's got to be better. And yeah, Benjy said it on his in the beginning. Got to be more disciplined. Don't let them blow the whistle. Don't let them blow the whistle. Don't give them that opportunity. DVL, wow. Thank you very much. Very generous super chat, especially kind of late in the post game here after that loss. Thank you so much, man. Brunson has to be better. Bridges has to show trust in Mike Brown to help place both in a better position. Cat has to be more involved come the fourth quarter. I'm sure we're all nervous. If we can match the physicality and push through adversity, let the rest play out. Yeah, I said it. Brunson's been the most disappointing player in the series for me thus far. Which is crazy because he's had some massive shots. Won them Game 1 and Game 2. He is like, pretty responsible for like 2 freaking wins in the finals, but he has to be better, and he has been a little disappointing. As far as Bridges needing to show up, we always say this, like when you're the fourth option, it's like how assertive can you be, especially when you're not like Josh Hart, where you're getting rebounds and going and pushing the whole thing. I wouldn't have bothered by Bridges' game. The fouls were annoying, obviously, and then Cat being more involved in the fourth quarter. That's always the challenge. Can you continue to get Cat involved even when the defense kind of loads up? So, thanks, Steve. Stay mellow. What's going on, Stay mellow? hit to divert. I was down by the Garden tonight and saw 2 teenagers in Spurs jerseys get them ripped off their bodies. My goodness, that's not good. We have to be better. I know the KFS community is above that, but wanted to send a message out. Knicks in 5. Yeah, no, don't fuck around with any Spurs fans, man. Like, why would you even give a shit about them? Shouldn't. Bryce Biscus, what's going on, Bryce? Thoughts on double bigs in the non-Wemby minutes? Man, I just don't know if that's the path to offensive success in this series. I think the spacing is so vital. And also the non-Wemby minutes have been, the non-Wemby minutes. Well, what'd they do in the non-Wemby minutes tonight, actually? That's a good question. They were -3 in 9 minutes. That's not good enough. Should have been better. Look, I'm not gonna sit here and say it's crazy. My impression is that I don't know if this is the series for it. To say nothing of the whole Hackimich thing, but I was gonna say, like, they've been good in the non-JB minutes, which are off in the non-Wemby minutes. So, yeah. Interesting. I gotta look at this again. I'm watching the replay of the Wemby thing. It's so ridiculous. So fucking ridiculous. Mr. Eno Bino. Hi, John. Give the Spurs some credit. Time to get some sleep. More games to play. I give the Spurs all the credit in the world. I really do. That team came out and like just total poise. Total poise from minute 1 to minute 48. Yeah. I wouldn't mind some more sleep. Beach chair with another one. I've cooled down, good on the Spurs, but I feel like we've yet to see a complete game from the Knicks. Still up 2-1. # let's go Knicks. You haven't seen a complete game from the Knicks? But I think the Spurs deserve credit for that. When you have a defense that puts you as out of sorts as this one, and that is able to do what they're doing against your best player and your offensive engine, it just, go ask the Thunder. Now, granted, they had injuries to deal with, but go ask Thunder fans. Like, did you ever see your best game from your team? I don't know. But look, do they have one great performance in them, top to bottom? Yeah, I do. Do I think we've seen it yet? Fuck no. So I'm agreeing with you, Beach Chair. I am. It took me a second to get there. I'm agreeing with you, but I'm just like, I also want to give credit where credit is due and play a tough team. They're going to make you look not at your best. That's what's just going to happen. El Coriano. Spurs are plus 23 free throw attempts in the series. Please explain how the team that plays more physical defense fouls much less. Will this trend continue? We'll see. We'll see. Neither would surprise me. Hush. I refuse to believe JB needs to take 25 plus shots a game. Fourth quarter, ride or die, but the shot distribution needs to be a bit better. His assist numbers are low. Thought he shot too much tonight. Yeah, that's all there is to it. I think he shot too much tonight. Too much dribbling, too much shooting. It's too much. Too much. Thanks, Hush. Oh, we're done? All right, look at us. I might actually get a little bit of sleep tonight, which is good because I got a busy freaking day tomorrow. Thanks, everybody, for checking out another episode of the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by FANATICS Sportsbook. Look, don't dwell on this one. I'm going to dwell on it for another little while because I got to write about this game tonight. But what's done is done. Knicks still have a fantastic opportunity on their hands on Wednesday night. It's an opportunity literally every single one of us would have signed up for in a fucking heartbeat if we could have, even like right before the series started, you know? Shit. Honestly, after game 1 of this series, if someone came to you and was like, hey, would you sign up to be up 2-1 after game 3? I think most people would have been like, yeah, sure, give me that. Like, they're in a great spot. They're in a great spot. You just got to go out there. You got to play a little bit better. I know I said this before, but I can't. It's because it's all it is. You could play better. Play better. You know, you had a first letdown in a month and a half. Go get it back. That's all there is to say. All right. Thanks, everybody. Do me a favor. Like the video. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Do all those things. So Knicks Film School newsletter on Substack, Patreon, where Benjy and DJ continue to put out amazing work. And, yeah, we'll see you guys when we see you. Peace out.